I love saving money. I try to spend it. And in 2024, so many times, the sales prevention department in businesses don't allow me to spend my money. I try to spend money with some companies in Canada, the United States, and at every step, no. Michael McLean .coach. Actually, my new book is out yesterday, cavemanmillions.com. It's 100 of my most profitable money-drenching email templates. Nothing loftier than that. The book won't make you the next J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, but it'll certainly help you if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, small business owner, copywriter or fundraiser, or even you have your kids running lemonade stands, raising funds for the animal rescue or the Rotary Club. It'll help put some mucho fungolas, as the late great Gary Halbert said, into your pocket. I've been writing emails for almost 20 years in every business and activity I've ever been in. And it's really been the honey that brings in the money. You can get a digital copy of the book, yes, digital copy, at cavemanmillions.com. And it's a gentleman's agreement. You can pay whatever you want for the 200-page book. It's over 200 pages. 100 email templates. You can use them as your own. Plug and play. I don't care. Just change the phone number so that I don't get your leads and your referrals and your cash flow. That happened to me back in the day. One time a guy took my McLean Insurance newsletter that he purchased in my marketing swipe file, and he did everything. The only thing he changed was the photo. And my sales team, I walked in the back of the agency one morning, and my sales team was like, "Michael, have you done some marketing in Arkansas?" And I said, "Well, not lately." My dad got a big kick out of that one. And this guy forgot to change the phone number on our old insurance flyer. And it was our 800 number, and it was international. So this guy sends out a couple thousand flyers in his neighborhood in Arkansas, and the phones in Perth, Ontario, Canada were ringing off the hook. So no, when you use these email templates, you can please change the phone number, the website, the email, so that the leads and buyers and cash flow actually go to you. I don't even know where I was going with that story, but that's a good one. My dad laughed at that one when we were working together. Insurance leads from Arkansas. So you can pay what you want for the book, anywhere from $1 to $99. I don't even know why I priced it at that point. I just want people that are buyers. I want, the more you pay attention. So I'm never going to write a book as a free product. I'm just not going to do it, because that attracts people that are not serious. And it's amazing. Free is the new expensive, by the way. Free is the new expensive. There's a reason that I refuse to not pay for stuff. So in my position as a coach and a consultant, I get guys sending me stuff all the time. "Michael, here's my new book for my carpet cleaning company. Here's my new book for my jewelry store. Here's my new coaching program." And they try to give it to me for free. And my 11-year-old daughter Emery laughs at this. She's like, Daddy, nobody can give you anything for free. That's my growing up in the back of a general store, blue collar, coming out. My mom, man, she's like, you want to talk, my 90-year young mom, talk about pride. You try and give my mom something for free and she's like, sorry, I don't need your charity. I heard that growing up. But there's also an important point about the more we pay, the more we pay attention. Russell Brunson said that back in the day in our $30,000 Bill Glazier mastermind, and I never forgot that. The more we pay, the more we pay attention. So even if it's just $1, or if it's $20 or $99 in the case of this book, the more you pay, the more you pay attention. That's why free is the new expensive, because you don't use it. You don't use it. When I buy a digital product, which is rare, I get it printed off, right? So it's funny because Marc-Andre cringes every time I buy a digital product. I only buy a digital PDF product if I have to. Like I'm totally against the go fetch PDF stuff. If I can do without it, I do without it. So if somebody tries to sell me a digital e-product, whatever the hell you want to call it, I'm going to say no if I can, right? I'm going to say no if I can. And it locks, it's in lockstep with what I'm talking about today, how I saved 40 grand last week with the sales prevention department. I'll get to that story in a second. But with the book, it's just like the more you, like I get them printed off. So if I bought this book, as an example, it's of no use to me as the way it is, as an ebook, a digital template book. It's no good to me. So I have a printer here, actually in Fort Myers, about 45 minutes away. Mark found somebody that'll put up with me. And when I buy a digital product or a digital newsletter or a Go Fetch PDF product, Mark sends it to this printer, God bless him, in Fort Myers. Nobody in Naples wanted my printing business. They're all doing too well. And this guy prints off these like bricks. I'm not kidding. We're killing trees here every day. And the FedEx, then he FedExes it to our house here in Naples. So my wife, again, she's like Marc-Andre, she cringes when the doorbell rings. And every few days, here's another brick for yours, caveman. And that's the only way I buy digital products. The reason that I put this book together, I said to Mark a month ago, I said, you know, I'd be interested in our top 100 most profitable emails. I mean, the rest of it is just horse shit, right? Like likes and clicks and open rates, and who gives a shit about that stuff? Like, I want to make money. I want to make as much money as I can in business. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, he says, well, I can put them together. I can do that data research. And I've written over 4,300 emails in the last 20 years. I sure as hell better have, because I've been at it for 20 years. And he comes back and he says, here's the most profitable ones. He says it's a dog's breakfast. There's all kinds of stuff. Some of these are hockey emails. Some of them are free pizza emails. Some of them are Donald Trump emails. Some of them are McLean Insurance emails. You got barbershop emails in here. He helped me write some of them. He says, but these are the 100, the Century Club, I call it, most profitable. He said, you know, there's an email in here that made you 71K. There's an email in here that you know, a help wanted email that made half the staff in your agency want to quit that day. So I put these together in this digital ebook at cavemanmillions.com. And the gentleman's agreement is pay what you want. I don't care. It isn't costing us anything but our valuable time to put this together. Mark and I put this together literally in 2.5 days. I'm not gonna shoot you a line about, we labored over this incredible book. It's just him filtering and cutting the rope with 4,300 emails, and the guy brings it down to 100. I write the opening, I write the closing, and that's a book. That's how simple it is. That's the GE spot. Good enough. I said to Mark last week, I said, how much time can we give this email tomb, this 200 plus pager? He says, I don't have a ton of extra time. So he says, maybe a week. I said, okay, you got it. 2 days. And we're talking on the phone yesterday, and he said, we literally did that in 2.5 days. That shows you that hiring great people, partnering with great people, like Marc Andre is an example, man, they buy you time. They're money-making machines. So we put this together in 2.5, almost 3 days. Buy it, don't buy it. It doesn't change my life in the least. The reason we did the digital is because if I don't make this a go fetch product, it's a $1,000 book, right? Like, I sell a lot of products, all my newsletters and stuff. If I package them together in a brick like this, 200 plus pages, it's not a book, it's a product. And I'll price it at $9.97, probably $1,000, right? So my mission is to impact 1 million entrepreneurs, to help 1 million small business owners like me, like I've been my whole career since I was 12 years old. My father was a small business owner. My grandfather was a small business owner. My other grandfather was a small business owner. Those are my heroes, right? But if I'm going to help 1 million people, I can't have every product be $30,000 or $10,000 or even $97 a month. So Mark said, why don't you just put this together? And he said it'll be available for people at least have to pay $1. So do what you want for, it's anywhere from $1 to $99. But just keep in mind what Russell Brunson said at Bill's thing years ago. He's like, Michael, the more you pay, the more you pay attention. Do you think I was paying attention in a $30,000 mastermind? Are you kidding me? I took my wife, Krista, to those things. We were there a day early. We stayed a day late. If that mastermind was something digital for, $100 a month, you think we would have had that same mindset? I mean, we literally sat in those rooms in Baltimore, and it was just like, okay, the more, it was like, we're all in all the way with this stuff. So, cavemanmillions.com, pay what you want. I don't have any plans for the money. I don't have printing costs. I don't have mailing costs. And it would have been a product that's hard to fulfill. It would have been an absolute brick. These guys up here are, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I had a guy tell me who sits on the board of directors here for our community, and he told me on the Sunset Cruise boat the other night, he said, how much do you think we spend on maintenance in this community? And this is a small community. Maybe 410 doors. 410 doors. Look at those guys. They shut that off for me to walk by. Not necessary, but appreciate it. That's the way to do it, man. He says we pay $880,000 a year on lawn cutting, leaf blowing. Like, we don't lift a finger here. But those dudes back there, that's a contract. 800, let's say 900, let's round up. 900K. And this is just one development, and a small one in Naples. $1 million contract. And that guy, man, those guys never stop working. They never, like, our grass is cut on Monday. Our flower beds are done on Tuesday. Like, they do it all, and this place looks magnificent. When my mom and dad came here last year from Canada, my dad never misses a trick, right? And first thing, he's like, look at the pride in this place. Look at the pride in Naples. And I'm like, Dad, that's why we're here. He's like, oh man, he says, Canada could take a page. It's stunning to people that come from somewhere else to a place like Naples, and the pride. And I know it's done for you, and I know these guys, but man, you don't see a piece of litter. You don't see, like, everything is just perfection. So that's for another day. So the book, I just want to share with you here before I make this walking podcast too long. Oh, and by the way, guy says to me the other day, speaking of tomato cans, punch drunk tomato cans, I used to be involved in the sport of boxing. I wasn't an active fighter, like I was a hockey player or a tennis player, but I used boxing when I was a kid to end bullying in my life, right? I went to a public school, and you fought for your life every day at recess. You had kids that were, because we used to fail kids. I remember coming to school, grade 6 and grade 7, and when I was my daughter's age, and you got kids in your class that had failed 1 or 2 grades, and they got, like, they're shaving already. And I'm like, damn it, it's gonna be tough on the yard this year. And there were no parents, there was none of that anti-bullying stuff. You just had to fend for yourself. So my dad, one time I made the mistake of coming home, and I was like, well, Peter Larman's beating the hell out of me every day, 3 recesses, ate my lunch for me. And my dad's like, well, it's up to you to fix that. He says, why don't you do what that Rocky movie, Rocky 1 or Rocky 2 was out at the time. And he says, why don't you get yourself in better shape and learn how to punch? That was my dad's anti-bullying speech. So little do we know the impact of mums and dads. I go and I save up my money for a weight kit, like literally free weights in the basement, a heavy bag. My dad helped me put up the heavy bag. That thing was a monster. Then he helped me buy the boxing gloves and then the speed bag. Like, I couldn't even hit that speed bag. My hands used to ache when I hit that heavy bag for hours. And he's like, you gotta tape your hands. You gotta tape your hands. So I learned the sweet science, and nothing gets a person in better shape, right? I saw Sylvester Stallone running, so I ran. I saw Sylvester Stallone hitting the heavy bag, so I hit the heavy bag. I saw Sylvester Stallone jumping rope, so I jumped rope. And just on and on from there. So it's interesting, more is caught than taught. So back to my story of how it's next to impossible to spend money in the United States or in Canada. I call it every business has what I call a sales prevention department. Yours does too. And if you call your place, if you mystery shop your business, you'll find lots of no's in your business. No, we don't want your money. No, we're not going to quote that. No, we're not going to fix that. No, we're not going to add you to the email list. No. Great businesses, the top 1%ers in the world, the Apples, the Amazons, the old Disneys, even those businesses are falling apart under the leadership they have today. But everything is yes. Yes. Hotels, yes. Timeshares, yes. Clean rides, yes. Clean bathrooms, yes. Upscale, yes. Spend more money, yes. Bumps, yes. Just yes, yes, yes. So is your business all about yes? So I'm sitting in the garage the other day reading. That's what I do, right? That's what I do. You can't take the redneck out of a blue collar kid. And I grew up the first 5 years of my life in the back of a general store. I watched my dad go to work. I watched my dad work 14 hours a day back in the day. I watched him do it every single day but Christmas. So I've seen my grandfather do it for decades, so I know what hard work looks like. The interesting part was that somebody's turning in here. They got to do this properly. Good morning. Good morning. Just a perfect day. So just making sure those people got in there safely. And so I know what 14 hours a day looks like. So I sit in the garage, and people in this gated community, they laugh, right? They're like, this Canadian guy that sits in his garage. So I sit at the pool in the mornings. I write in the mornings at the pool. But in the afternoons, to change my environment, to give myself a shot of energy, is I just take whatever book or newsletter I'm studying, and I have this big Adirondack leaning chair, and I just sit in the garage. And my wife, Krista, she's like, you're such a redneck. You're such a Canadian redneck. She's like, here you are in this beautiful community. She says you have this beautiful pool, this backyard oasis. And she says you grab your stuff in the afternoon, your pens, your highlighters, your glasses, your recipe cards. And she says you go and open up the garage door and you sit there. And I said, yeah, I like to see the people. And I talked to the people, and she's like, yeah. She says, you're such a hillbilly. And I'm like, I take it as a compliment. My grandfather was a hillbilly. My dad, deep down hillbilly. That's just the way it is. I'm proud of that. So I'm sitting there reading a book the other day. Once again, the more you pay attention. And it's a book. It's like a $200 book. And I'm reading it, and I'm drinking my water, and I'm highlighting, and that's my shtick, right? I love doing that stuff. I'm like Buffett. I'm like Munger in that way. Like, I don't know the secret of success, but I'm just going to be a learning machine the rest of my life. That's it. I don't know anything specifically that I would repeat over and over. People ask me all the time. I'm like, I'm just going to be a learning machine. When I'm a learning machine, I'm the best version of the husband I need to be, the father I need to be, the entrepreneur, the founder, everything. So that's my only goal now, is to be a learning machine. So I'm sitting there, and this guy's walking by. And I mean, it's rare as hen's teeth, because there's no more salespeople, right? There's no more salesmen, no more saleswomen that actually knock on a door. There's no toe-to-toe, belly-to-belly, eye-to-eye sales. The only person who knocks on your door or puts a flyer under your mat is my 11-year-old. And that's the reason she's made so much cash 2 years in a row here with her dog walking company. She knocks on doors, she has flyers, she has an email list, she does it all. So I'm sitting there the other day reading my book, and this kid, he's about, I'm gonna say 21, 22. He's college age, but he's not in college. And we make eye contact, and I don't know if he's gonna knock on the door or not. But he says to me, he walks up and he says, introduce himself. And he reminds me of one of my Perth Blue Wing Championship players. He reminds me of Marc-Andre. He's just a little bit younger. He's fit, he's a good looking kid, he's well spoken. He's not on a phone. He gives me a firm handshake, eye contact, introduces himself, asks me he just, like first impression that you don't see anymore. So I sit there and I talk to him a little bit, and he says, I'm with a company that sells solar panels. And if you know me, like Mr. Global Cooling, the polar bears are going to be walking the streets in Naples in the next 10 years if we think about what we're being told. Global warming, global cooling, it's just, carbon tax. It's just a way to take more money out of everybody's pocket. So I'm a hard sell, right? But this kid he's got his game on. He's got a tight game. He's got it all. And he made that great first impression. So I'm all in for this, right? Like if I run into a salesperson nowadays, like it's almost like an endangered species. So he sits down and we talk a little bit, and then he starts talking to me about solar panels. How, the government messed it up, of course. There's nothing the government does that's profitable. There's nothing that the government does that's efficient. So a lot of people have a negative viewpoint on solar panels, solar, all that stuff, but I don't, because I read and I study. So I'm like, well, not really. I said, you know what? I said, if you put a couple of those bad boys up on my roof here in South Florida, I said, you're gonna get my heating and cooling bill to zero. He says, Michael, I think I can even do one better than that. He says, I think I can put them up there and you're actually going to make money, probably $100, it doesn't matter, a month. But he says, you're going to eliminate your entire electricity bill. And I'm like, that's great, because Southwest Florida, right? And he says to me, he goes to the close. He says, and your home is perfect. He said, this is the perfect angle because it's all afternoon sun. So I'm like, okay, I've done my homework. He's done his homework. And I said, listen, I said, what's the cost? He says, well, you can lease these, monthly payments and stuff like that. He says, and he says, not many people do this, but he says you can buy them and it's around 30 to 40,000. I'm like, okay, I would be a buyer of whatever it takes. And then I would sell, he goes, and then you sell some of the power back to whoever. And it's small potatoes, but it's just another way to get off the grid. It's another way to, to pay your electrical bill, whatever. It's something, entertaining as well. And I love to support salespeople. So I give him a copy of my book, and I give him one of my t-shirts that I'm wearing here. The Be Relentless Badass t-shirts, right? No matter what. My wife laughs. She's always like, in the back of your car, you got like these 100 books, you have 100 t-shirts, you have 100 of these armbands. And I'm like, yeah, I got to give them to young people. So finally a salesman knocked on my door. I had to sit in the garage for it to happen, but still. So he's like, whoa, he's like, this is great. You wrote a book and all this other stuff, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, okay. I said, I'll talk to my wife, Krista, but I think this looks good to us. He said, listen, this is a Thursday. He says, my guy, the engineer, he's coming by tomorrow. And I've got 6 appointments in Naples, including you in this area, in this little gated community. 6 times 30 grand, 6 times 40 grand. That's $250,000. And trust me, people in this neighborhood, they can buy a $30,000 or $40,000 solar panel package. So I'm like, this is insane. He's like, yeah, he's coming tomorrow. He's going to do the 6 of you. What's a good time? I said, anytime after 11, right? That's when I'm done my reading, my writing, and my walking. My walking podcast is done by then. So I'm like, this is great. He says, do you have your phone number? I give him my wife's cell phone. No sense giving him mine. I'm not going to check it the next day, and I don't want him bothering me. So Krista's all in. She's like, wow, solar panels for MJM. I'm like, yeah. I said, the kid is impressive. Plus I gave him all my stuff. So God bless him. Like he's like, no, I just moved to Florida. Good looking, fit kid. He's like, no, he says, this is amazing. I don't mind knocking on doors. I don't mind being told no. I'm just like, I mean, this kid, I'm like, wow, can you come in here and talk more? So to make a short story long, like I give him a 9.5 out of 10. I give him an A. I don't give A pluses, but I give him an A. Like he's at Marc Andre's level in terms of personality, professionalism, fitness, impact, first impression. So here's where the dumbass company that he works for, this big ass corporation, solar company, right? They literally cripple the people that have boots on the ground. And this, you see this all the time, right? The CEO of this company wouldn't have a fucking clue what a door looks like. Never knocked on one in his life. If he did, he'd be out with a cat like that and he'd be knocking on doors listening to consumers. But he's not. He's in his ivory tower. So I said, what time? He gets back to my wife. This is the kid, right? He says, we can do 12 noon tomorrow. I'm like, that sounds fantastic. We'll both be here. He says, I need you both here. This is what's going to happen. He did a very good job of expectation. And of course, it's all by text. So the next day comes, which is Friday, right? And boom, the $40,000 deal starts to disintegrate through zero fault of this young man. Zero fault. Now, what are they paying him? They're paying him commission. They're not paying him a salary. They're not paying him benefits. He's not some unionized postie or postal worker. This guy is probably getting 10 points, maybe 15 points, maybe more. I don't know. Maybe he's like me in the insurance business where I gave my guys 25 cents of every dollar they brought in the first time. I don't know. But let's say he's getting 20 points on this. That's a $40,000 sale that took, 15, 20 minutes. And it just starts to unravel, right? So on the next day, the Friday, I'm sorry, but the engineer, I laughed. I said to Krista, does this guy drive a fucking train? I mean, engineer, who gives a shit? Who can close this deal? Who can tell me how much this is going to save me? Who can tell me when they're going to install? That's all I care about. But the engineer can't be here on Friday. Well, where the hell can he be? Well, in the anti-sales department, he can't be there till Tuesday. So, once again, we're like, reschedule. This is now my wife's problem, right? And I'm like, okay, so this goes on without me even knowing, because I don't participate in that nonsense. If you don't want my money, if no is what you're gonna say, then I just vote with my feet in my wallet. You're dead to me. But I don't give up on this kid, right? So this goes on, and I found this out after the fact from my wife. She's like, this has been 2 weeks. I'd forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about the $40,000 I was going to spend with this solar company. And she sends, Krista finally gets me involved. She says, she just sent me a message. I checked it in the afternoon, 2 weeks later. And she's like, they want to do a Zoom call. And I'm like, they want to do a Zoom call with Tech Dinosaur and the email. And I'm just like, fuck that. I ain't doing a Zoom call unless I'm on with Bill Gaw. I ain't doing a Zoom call unless I'm on with Stephen Ivanko. I ain't doing a Zoom call unless I'm on with Paul Nolte or Tom Burns or David Linton or Gordon Quinton. I ain't doing it. So there's your deal that crumbled in less than 14 days. The engineer wants to do a Zoom call. Well, you want to talk about pissing off your affluent top 5% or top 1% customer, whatever it is. But it's so simple. I don't care about our power bill. I don't even look at it. I don't even know. We have a hot tub. We have a pool. It's probably significant, right? And this was great. And I wanted to support this kid who had it all together. I love kids that can sell. I'm trying to raise one myself. So I did everything I could to spend that 40 grand. Everything I could to spend the 40 grand, including giving the kids my books, my t-shirt, armbands, whatever. And couldn't spend it, could not write the check. And I told Krista, I said, just tell them we're done. And that was the end of it. Could you imagine, like if I was the CEO of that company, I would find that engineer and I'd get him in a room and I'd make sure that he was a former employee with cause within 13 seconds. You imagine that guy playing for Nick Saban? Could you imagine running your company like that? $40,000 leads. The kids got 6 in this one Naples community. It's not a big community here. And the guy blows it. And he probably blew the other 5. I don't see anybody putting up solar panels. And then you'll hear about, it's a tough sell, or the economy's brutal right now, or, it's Trump's fault, or, we're going into a recession and money's tight. Are you kidding me? Like I tell my 11-year-old every day, you have no competition in this world, okay? So don't let me ever hear an excuse of not doing well. You have no competition. If you know how to work, if you know how to work hard and intelligently, if you show up every day and you compound your efforts as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a marketer, and you just show up every day, there's no excuse for not kicking ass and taking names. So that's my sales prevention punch drunk tomato can story for this week. I know it's a long one, but man, oh man, I'm just thinking, like, if I behave like that as a hockey coach, I deserve to be in the basement. If I behave like that as a barbershop owner or as a coach or consultant, I deserve to starve. And if that's the way I promote my new book, then I deserve for it to be a loser. And it's just something to remind yourself that there's no competition, how simple it is, not easy, how simple it is to win in today's world if you show up and compound good habits, good mindset, good people, that there's no excuses, absolutely no excuses for failure. The other thing that it's a wake-up call, and I use this to myself all the time, is I always say to myself, Michael, is there any no's in our business? Is there any no's that Marc-Andre or myself, is there any way that a person gets a no in our business? They try to buy a book, no. They try to subscribe to my newsletter, no. They try to upgrade to a telegrams a week, no. They try to join the mastermind, no. They want to join Email Millions, no. They want me to write the emails for them, no. And it makes me go back to all our websites. It goes back to all my print newsletters. And I really hold myself and the company under a microscope and ask myself that critical question. Is there any no's in our business? And if there is, we need to fix them fast. Is there any areas in your business where a person says, screw it, I'm just going to vote with my feet in my wallet? Because that's business today, right? It's just like, they don't need my money. They don't need my support. I'm gone. I voted with my feet in my wallet, everything from pro sports to anti-social media to the vomit news to politics to bad businesses to progressive businesses. I'm just like, I don't really need this. And if it's going to be a problem, I don't need solar panels. I would have loved to support that young man, but truth be told, I've moved on. I could not spend my $40,000. That's it. That has nothing to do with my World Wide Web new book, cavemanmillions.com. Grab a copy if you want. If you don't, that's perfectly okay. If you decide to print it off, it's 200 plus pages, Mark said. Makes sense, most of my emails are over a page and there's 100 of them in there. Take some of those emails and just swipe and deploy them. The 9-word emails are worth a small fortune to you. If you just use the 9-word email that's inside the book to get started, oh my God, there's 3 combinations. That's the email that saved my bacon in the insurance business. If I don't use that 9-word email, I ain't talking to you today. I'm not living in Naples. I'm probably still grinding it out in business somewhere. So right off the bat, you can get yourself a massive win, regardless of what business you're in. That 9-word email, I use that for my daughter's lemonade stand. I used it for the barber shop. I used it for the hockey team. It's my Doug Flutie Hail Mary. Do you remember that? Flutie played in Canada in the CFL, but before that, the Doug Flutie Hail Mary pass. The 9-word email that I put in my new book is my Doug Flutie. When push comes to shove, and I don't know what to talk about, or we need a cash infusion, or we need some leads, or we need some referrals, or we're just stumped on what to do, I pull out, that's my back pocket play. I keep that 9-word email in my back pocket. And when Marc-Andre says to me, we have this expense or that expense or taxes or whatever it is, I just reach in my back pocket and pull out the Doug Flutie Hail Mary 9-word email. I wrote it for you. It's in there. You can use it in your business any way you want. cavemanmillions.com. That's a 42-minute video. I don't even know what the subject line is going to be. I don't know what the title is going to be, because we covered a lot of ground on this walking podcast. I get a kick out of that. The guy says that to me the other day. You're the guy that does that walking podcast. And I was like, Goofy, I don't even do a podcast. I've never done a podcast in my life. I wouldn't know how to do one. I shoot broken iPhone videos. He goes, no. He says, I watch your daily podcast. And I was like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. So he finally says, Joe Rogan, he sits for 3 hours, but you walk. And I'm like, well, that's one way to compare us. And I said, Joe doesn't need to walk as much as yours Chunky does. But just what? So from now on, this is the Michael McLean Project Mayhem walking podcast. I'm a podcast guy, and I didn't even know it. I'm a podcast guy, and I didn't even know it. So that's it. I talked to my dad on the phone last night, and just before we hung up, he said, remember, kid. He said, the best is yet to come. I agree. cavemanmillions.com. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that can change yours. Be relentless.